Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Too Fast, Too Curious. Welcome to our first real episode, our first feature-length episode. My name is Jon.
I'm Randi.
And today we're joined by a very special guest, air conditioning. For those of you who don't know, the Pacific Northwest is in the middle of a crazy heat wave.
And I want to die.
For example, today was working in a shop that has no AC, and it was 120 degrees outside and 120 degrees inside.
Okay, they're here for car talk.
Yeah, but also I felt like maybe we could try out a more, I don't know, informal intro where we don't just jump right into, hey, we watched The Fast and Furious, let's talk about it.
Okay.
But hey, we watched The Fast and Furious, let's talk about it.
I believe you mean F9, the saga.
Yeah, so this episode specifically is going to be about F9.
The saga.
The Fast Saga. Saga? Is that how Ryan George said it? Saga?
I don't know.
If you haven't watched the Fast 9, or should I say F9, pitch meeting on YouTube, please do. Don't stop listening to this to do it, but when you're done, please do it, because it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and if you do leave, just come back, please.
Or just, keep the episode playing in the background and watch it. It's all about those downloads, guys.
Or just watch it later.
Preferably just watch it later. So, what should we start with?
The beginning?
The beginning. Okay, here's the beginning. Flashback.
Half the movie is flashbacks.
Half of the movie is flashbacks.
I said that as a joke walking in, but I was proven correct.
Yeah, so we start in 1989. We see young Dom, who I still maintain looks nothing like Vin Diesel.
I thought it was close enough for me.
And we also meet just the briefest glimpse of young Jacob.
Jacob Toretto.
Because, as a surprise to nobody who knows anything about the movie, Dom has a brother.
He's been there the whole time, guys.
He's been there the whole time. We've never heard about him, but that's because he's a super spy. We'll get to that. We also meet Jack Toretto.
Yeah, world's greatest dad.
World's greatest dad, who also may not be the world's greatest dad.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that too. But in this flashback, we are at the race that started it all and will be Jack Toretto's last race ever.
He doesn't know it.
He doesn't know it. We do, though, because it's very...
Because what else would this flashback be?
Right. And that kind of brings me to my first point. The first thing that stuck out to me about this movie, which is, apparently, nothing is sacred.
This again.
Well, okay, so she's heard me make this point already, but I think it's valid, which is...
I mean, yeah, but, I just heard it, 5 times at this point.
Well, yeah.
We talk about it when it's not on the podcast.
Well, yeah, but,
Sorry, continue.
Okay, they haven't heard this point. That's the important
I know, but that's why I just sighed.
Yeah. Here's my point. One of the pivotal moments of The Fast and the Furious, and it's impossible not to compare these two movies. I try very hard not to, but it's impossible not to compare these two movies. When everything in this movie, all these flashbacks, directly tie into Fast 1 and where it all started. And one of the pivotal moments in The Fast and the Furious is when Dominic takes Brian to his garage and shows him the 1970 Dodge Charger that he has never driven. The Charger that he built with his dad. The Charger that scares him. And we learn about why he's a street racer and why he is not allowed to race on the tracks. And that's because his father was killed by a guy who ran his dad into a wall.
And disintegrated
his car. And Dominic beat him nearly to death.
Well, how old was he? About, you think? I'm like, can you be banned for your life if you're a kid and you do that?
Oh, totally. I mean, if you beat
I
someone
guess
nearly
so.
to death, yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
But it's this huge emotional moment. And it really felt like they just used this moment to retcon the fact that Jacob existed in the first place.
Just shove him in.
And to cash in on the nostalgia of the first movie. Because if I remember correctly, it's been 20 years since that first movie came out.
When did it come out?
I think 2001.
Yeah, I was like a baby.
I think we're celebrating...
Well, that's weird to think about.
Right? I think we're celebrating...
It's weirder for me.
Well, I think we're celebrating 20 years of the Fast movies this year.
And also me. No, that's 21 years of me.
Yeah. Now everyone knows your age.
Oh. Okay.
You
You don't want them to think you're talking to just like a child.
Well, considering how your voice comes across, that's a very real possibility.
Exactly. I am not a child.
So back to the movie. Like she said, it's like almost all, or at least half, flashbacks.
Pretty much.
So we meet Jacob, we see Dom,
Mm-hmm.
and
They're his pit crew.
we see Jack and his pit crew and everything.
And he's like, Jacob, get the hood or something.
And then we see Dom's dad's car explode
Disintegrate.
violently.
He like barely touched the fence and it was like...
Just one moment it's there, the next moment it's a ball of flame. It's insane, and this is how the movie begins.
So, great start.
Great start. Really draws you in at the beginning.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Regardless of the fact that was a kind of a cheap...
That it's sacrilegious.
Well, it's not sacrilegious, it's just... it feels like a cheap cash-in on nostalgia.
This is the year 2021, baby. That's what we do.
You're not wrong. I think a crazy amount of movies these days are remakes or reboots anyway.
Oh, they have been for years.
Why not? Flash forward to the present, and
They are living on a farm.
they're living on a farm, and this is where
Off the grid.
the action starts. And I will say, this movie really just jumps into it.
I know, right?
So Dom and Letty and little Brian are living on a farm. We see Dom teaching little Brian how to work with tools
And a tractor.
and a tractor, and
Letty's there too.
Letty's there too, and the hot water is out again, and Dom's gonna have to fix that next.
Ah, exciting.
And then a car pulls up, and they freak out.
I think that's fair.
Like, well, and to be fair, they are like the target of international criminals.
Yeah.
And
our international criminals.
and have every reason to be. They've been exonerated though.
By who?
Every reason to be paranoid, but they straight up go like Brian jumps into a bunker, and they pull out
Guns.
They just have a cabinet of guns hidden in this barn.
It's kind of cool. Like how quickly they open it.
Yeah, so you get a little bit of rising action there, and then it's immediately de-escalated because getting out of this vehicle is no one else but Roman Pierce.
The best character.
The best character in this movie, hands down, and we'll get to that too.
We will. Oh, we will.
But it's not just Roman. It's Tej, and it's Ramsey, whose name I can finally remember. So
they're a throuple now, apparently.
yeah, that's the...
Just jump right into it.
Yeah, we both kind of made this observation while we're watching it, that like in the past few movies, basically ever since Ramsey's first appearance, and I mean literally, I was thinking about this, literally Ramsey's first appearance, Rome and Tej are basically fighting over her.
Yeah.
Constantly flirting with her, constantly trying to get her attention. And it's funny, it's a little creepy, but it's funny. And
Well, it's fine now because they're all together.
yeah, so that's our theory.
That's our headcanon.
Because in this movie, there is no flirting.
Yeah.
There is no like obvious tension or who's she gonna choose.
Plus, they are always hanging out together in this movie.
They're just constantly
Riding together with each other.
all three. Yeah, and so it really leads us to ask, did they just kind of figure out that they could all be a couple together?
Or
as we like to call it, a throuple.
He likes to call it that.
I got that from Jordan Jesse Go. Not gonna lie.
Okay.
Great podcast recommendation. Just by the way, it's weird, but it's hilarious.
Okay.
What, should I not be plugging other people's podcasts?
No.
On our first real podcast?
Probably not.
I've got some other recommendations. Hit me up. Yeah, that's just kind of a funny
thing we thought about.
And I honestly think there's a very good chance because polyamory not as stigmatized these days. Maybe we've got a progressive writer on this movie. Now they don't ever come out and say that, but
yeah, no, this is headcanon.
But it is a family movie, so maybe they just want to imply it. So we basically jump straight into another action scene
where they invade a country.
They literally invade a country. They as they're driving through this jungle looking for the crash site of Mr. Nobody, yeah. Which, just to pause real quick, I'm assuming if you are listening to this podcast, you've seen the movie, and goes without saying, spoilers ahead. So if you haven't seen the movie, now would actually be a good time to pause and go to your local theater and watch it.
Or you could just watch it illegally.
You could, yeah.
Don't give them more of your money.
We're not. But then they won't make another movie.
Oh, they're still gonna make another movie.
They're still gonna make another.
Tokyo Drift bombed, and they still made another movie.
Well, they have, yeah. We'll talk about it on the Tokyo Drift episode. But yeah, pause it, go watch the movie, come back. We'll wait. Hopefully that was long enough. So, they're driving through this jungle looking for the crashed plane of Mr. Nobody.
Who specifically sent an SOS to them.
Exactly, to our favorite street racing crew, to save the world.
Yeah.
And the first, Chekhov's gun in this movie is one of the characters, I don't remember who, says, "Be careful, we don't want to run into the military here." And keep in mind, they're just bombing through the jungle in a lifted Charger and a giant Jeep Wrangler and an even bigger, full-on armored vehicle. Mm-hmm. So of course they find the crash site. They have the coordinates and they find a device. And we are later going to find out this is another just world-ending device like God's Eye.
A real good MacGuffin.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't know anything about it at this point, but of course, as soon as they find it, who shows up? But the military!
Dun, 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 dun.
I actually made a note of this, because like we said, they're technically invading this country. They're not there on anyone's authority. They don't have any training.
No.
They're licenses. They're just there in this foreign country who is apparently hostile, and the military shows up and starts shooting at them. Understandably. And they start shooting back. And this
also understandably?
Also understandably, but this is where I got a little uncomfortable. Because like I said, they're not there under anyone's authority, which means that they don't have a right to be there, which means that this military is justifiably shooting at them. Now, you could argue that maybe this is a corrupt military, and that these soldiers work for a corrupt government. But still, they're just soldiers. They're just following orders to take out this potentially armed hostile force that is coming to their country illegally. And we're just watching them get mowed down by our favorite street racing crew. Because again, they are not trained. They are just street racers.
I mean, at this point, you can kind of say they're trained.
Well, and the fact that, in the last movie, they just cut to them in another world-saving adventure before Dom splits off. Apparently they are just super spies now.
They're just these weird bounty hunters.
Yeah. To me, it gives off a weird vibe that they are just taking out soldiers left and right for no other reason than they're getting shot at. But this this also leads to one of the best lines in the movie, where Rome is talking about how he was getting shot at by 14 different soldiers. His bulletproof vest has gunshots all over it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have a scratch on him.
His coat, fine.
His coat's fine. His pants, fine. Everything, fine. Not a scratch. And not only that, but they've done this multiple times. Mm-hmm. They took down a freaking submarine.
He literally just almost got crushed by a tank and exploded.
He literally almost got crushed by a tank because they drove through a field of landmines, and they're all fine.
So he's like,
so
are we invincible or something?
Very justifiably asks,
are we special?
His girlfriend and his girlfriend's boyfriend, are we invincible?
And they look at him like he's crazy.
They look at him like he's the crazy one.
Like, don't question it, man. Like,
so,
I kind of get, but like,
somehow
he's right.
In these, well, I guess he's been in, what, 7 of the 9 movies? No, he wasn't in Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, no.
But he was in Fast and Furious, wasn't he?
He wasn't in the first one.
No, he wasn't in Fast.
He came in the second movie.
I think he's been in at least 6.
He's been in
6
quite
out of
a
these
bit.
9 movies.
He's been in quite a bit.
And somehow his role has evolved into
the voice of reason.
The voice of reason. Later in the movie, as they're going over this insane plan to save the world, he's like, if
we were normal,
any of you were normal people, yeah,
we'd be pissing our pants.
We'd be pissing our pants right now because this is crazy.
And again, they just look at him like, yeah, your point?
This is also the same time that we see adult Jacob, who is
John Cena!
Yeah, John Cena. It's amazing that we can see him in these movies at all. I mean, considering that it's John Cena. But
God, we saw him too much in the movie. They zoomed into his face way too much.
There were so many
close-ups.
Dramatic close-ups.
That just lingered a little too long for my liking.
Too long, and you can see, like, even the actors are uncomfortable with the length of it because there's a couple times where their face kind of cracks because they're just...
Yeah.
They're reacting to something that they probably can't even see because the reality of movie editing these days is they don't actually know what's really going on in these scenes. They're just reacting to...
I know, you just see the little twitch in their face and they're like, can you pan away now?
Would you please? And also, I mean, no offense to Vin Diesel. The guy's great. I love the movies. But sometimes when he makes a serious face, he just looks a little pouty.
Yeah, he needs to stick to voice and tree. He's tree man.
Well, and he's got a great voice. He's got that deep, gravelly voice that's like very intimidating. But just don't linger on his face so much.
Yeah, it's his voice that's intimidating, not quite his face.
And John Cena as well.
It's not that intimidating.
Don't need to see the man's face that much.
Yeah, he looks like a potato. No offense to John Cena. But he kind of looks like a potato.
No offense to any of the actors that we're going to be insulting in this.
Yeah, I wasn't insulting.
We love you. That's why we're literally doing a podcast about the movies that you're in.
Yeah, but they are very silly movies.
And of course, the reason that Dom got involved in this in the first place is because as he's watching through the footage...
That Mr. Nobody sent them.
He's able to isolate one part of the screen, which is another cross necklace.
That they had when they were chilling.
Which is going to be called back to many, many times. To the point where, like, the first time we see him on screen, it's draped over his back just so we know for sure it's there.
Even though we know who it is.
We know.
He was in all the trailers.
Also, another callback which keeps happening is, like, apparently landing on top of a car will save you no matter how far you're falling from.
It's like landing on a cloud.
Yeah, or like a stack of boxes, or running through a melon cart.
Or you just, melon cart.
Yeah, melon cart. We also find out that, like, Cypher is, of course, in this movie. She's referenced at the beginning. She's here.
Was she referenced at the beginning?
Yeah, she was on the plane that got taken down. It's been it's been at least half a week since we've seen it, so it's a little fuzzy. But
it's only Monday.
But they really did her dirty in this. Because while is it Charlize Theron?
You think I know her name?
I believe it's Charlize Theron. I should know that. We are pretending to be experts about this movie series.
I'm not.
She is a fantastic actress and very believable in the part. She's great at being a very intimidating, very authoritative person and presence.
And she's pretty.
And she's very pretty. But they made her head look like a mushroom.
She looks like a Goomba.
She looks... Yeah, I had the thought. I actually, like, in my head, seeing that for the first time on the big screen... I've never seen the live-action Mario Brothers movie, but I've seen clips of it, and for some reason her hair and, like, the outfit that she's wearing immediately made my mind jump to that movie.
I haven't seen that movie either, but from what I remember, the Goombas don't really look like Goombas. But...
They don't at all. I think they make Goombas dinosaurs or something.
Don't. We don't speak.
This is not a Mario podcast.
Yeah, no.
We'll do that next.
I don't have much to say about Mario.
He's an Italian plumber that saves a princess. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
They really... I don't know whose idea that was, but it seems crazy that somebody got paid to do that to her hair.
Yeah.
And probably got paid pretty good to do it. Although, actually, realistically, probably not. I don't think Hollywood pays hairstylists very much.
Why wouldn't they pay their hairstyle? They're so important.
Yeah, but do they pay anyone besides the actors very well?
They
I
should.
don't know. This is also not a Hollywood Insider podcast.
Well, then stop talking about it.
But she does have a great line that I actually wrote down. You requested that I write this down. Because as she's giving this intimidating speech to a dictator's son and Jacob Toretto, she delivers the line, "I read your second grade report. That's what I do."
Oh, God, I love that line. It's so dumb. I love it.
Yeah.
I should
and she delivers it well.
I know.
While she's trapped in a glass prison.
Box.
Yeah, a
Nowhere
glass
to
box surrounded by lasers for some reason.
Well, because they don't want her to escape.
Yeah. Are we still using lasers in 2021? That seems like a very 80s thing to do.
I don't know. I'm not from the 80s.
And neither am I, so I can't really answer that. I also realized after watching this movie, there was not I don't believe there was a chair or a bed.
No, I think she just stood in there the whole time.
Which means, yeah, she's standing for days, guys.
I think she's wearing heels, too.
Probably. I mean, it's a little weird that when they captured her, they didn't, put her in a prison uniform.
They probably just had to work with what they got. They're like, we got her, let's just throw her in the box.
Maybe. But that's also, I mean, I think what we're supposed to believe, because they don't really explain this, is that Otto and Jacob take down the plane and kidnap Cypher to get to the device.
Yeah.
That is somehow also on this plane.
Mm-hmm. Only half.
Don't think about it too much, because it's not going to pass the test. We also find out that...
she thinks John Cena looks like Vin Diesel.
No. That's actually... That's
later?
That's later. That's
I could have swore it was...
Helen Mirren that says that.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. Oh, but she does say the Nordic thing.
Yeah, she does. Because, guys, they don't look anything alike.
They don't.
It doesn't make any... Of all the people to cast, I'm sure there is some struggling actor out there that is a great representation of a younger brother to Dominic Toretto that would be a fantastic addition to this series.
But nah, they got John Cena.
But no, they got John Cena. Who's, I guess, is he still... Dude, is he still popular? I don't know.
Dude, I don't know.
Yeah, so she just throws in this line about how, oh, it turns out there's some Nordic heritage in the Toretto line.
Yeah, that's it.
I will say they also did... they did actually do a good job of finding an actor to play Jack Toretto.
I thought he would look cooler.
Well, yeah, but he did kind of look like an in-between between
yeah.
Dominic and Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
However,
now, if only
Jacob and Dom don't look anything alike, which Helen Mirren's character, who I'm not going to try to remember her character's name, just
Shaw's mama.
Just casually as she's racing through the streets of London, evading the police.
After stealing these diamonds.
And a car.
Mm-hmm.
Just casually throws out that, oh yeah, I got hired by this American. He kind of looked like you. Was he your cousin?
Yeah, and we're just like...
I think we literally looked at each other and we're like...
What world?
Did she really just say that?
Did
she really just say?
I think we laughed.
Oh, definitely. I think we were the only ones to laugh at that point, but...
I think you were the only one who laughed so... Oh my god, don't ever do that in the theater ever again. I meant to say something about that.
Okay, when they say something that is so clearly insane, what do you expect me to do?
I don't know, laugh in your head? Or be like, huh.
No, that's you. You do that. I
laugh.
I am not ashamed.
I know, and I'm over here just like, man, I'm glad it's dark in here.
Notably in these flashbacks...
all 20 of them.
All 20 of them. Mia is not present.
Not even a little.
Not even a little bit. To the point where...
Not even mentioned.
When she shows up for the first time, I kind of forgot that...
She was a thing?
That Jacob... Well, not that she was a thing, but that Jacob was also her brother.
Yeah, you kind of forget.
Because you would think at some point in these many flashbacks that they have, apparently she is in one.
Where?
I did confirm this today. We'll get to that. Because I can even make it my next point. But you would think somewhere in these childhood flashbacks, Mia would be there. I mean, why would she not be at the racetrack?
Except that maybe she was a little girl, so she shouldn't be, but I don't know.
Maybe, well, races happen on Sunday, though. It's not like she would even be in school. And people bring their kids to NASCAR races all the time.
I don't know.
I don't know either. But the when she shows up, I'm like, oh yeah, hey.
Hey, yeah, you're related to
And then we find out that, to your point, Brian has been downgraded.
To a babysitter.
He is now a babysitter.
For both his kid and Dom's kid.
So now Brian is with Brian, which is something they don't really explain. Like, they really quickly cut from Dominic saying no, he's not going to go on this mission, to Dominic racing down a runway to catch this plane.
I thought he brought the baby with him for a second.
Yeah, because there's no, like, in-between scene where he's like,
okay, Brian,
all right,
take care of my baby.
Or like, all right, little Brian, I'm going to take you to your Uncle Brian now. Like, no, just like, we're putting the baby to bed. Letty races off. Dom races off. They're in another country. A whole action scene happens. And then Mia shows up, and Letty explains to Brian explains to Dom for some reason that Brian is with Brian.
Yeah.
Which seems like something Dom should know.
Look.
So Mia shows up, and she actually, I think, has a lot more to do in this movie than any of the other ones.
I honestly, yeah. This is her biggest role in a while.
Because, in the first movie, she's a big part of it, but she's
also
kind of just seen as the love interest.
Yeah, the arm candy.
Yeah, I mean, she's just kind of there to...
She makes the tuna sandwiches.
She's a drama point between Vince and Brian, which,
and
thankfully,
Dominic.
they don't, like... There's not really a whole lot of will they, won't they, but we'll talk about that in the next podcast, which is, just so everyone knows, we're starting with Fast 9 because it's the most recent.
Yeah, and we just saw it.
From here on out, we're going to be going,
in order.
Yeah, in order. We should probably discuss if we're going to go in chronological order or the order that the movie actually came out.
I didn't even think about that.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah, okay, come on.
So, and then the other movies, she's there.
Yeah.
But she never really does much, which seems like a waste of a character.
Yeah.
And in this movie, she's the one that figures out where Han is. Mm-hmm. She does great in the fighting scene in Japan where they're just taking down people left and right. It's just three awesome women just punching dudes out.
Mm-hmm. Kicking butt.
She has a much bigger role to play, and I think Jordana Brewster does a fantastic job of doing it.
Yeah, she did pretty good. I didn't even know she was going to be in the movie.
One of the other twists of this movie, there's a few different twists, most of which are spoiled, but one that is not. However, I did see this coming. And I am going to take credit for that.
Yeah, I know.
We know that Dom gets arrested after beating the guy nearly to death. He goes to prison. It is, by the way, those two guys that he meets in jail that are working on the car and speaking Spanish. They are the ones from the other, I think it's Fast 5. The one where in Brazil, where we don't really know any of their backstory. They just kind of show up.
No, but they are funny.
They're hilarious. They're absolutely
fantastic. But
fantastic.
Who are they? We'll never know.
Well, we find out. Dom meets them in jail. And they just say this line offhand about fuel lines cracking.
Well, because Dom was about to do that by mistake, I believe, when they were fixing cars.
I think so. They just have this offhand line about a fuel line cracking and introducing lane condition, and then Dom flashes back to the race and how Jack had Jacob change out the spark plugs wires, which is a weird thing to do during a pit stop, but it happened anyway.
I didn't know.
Yeah, well, okay, but that's fine.
I know.
You're not the car guy.
I know.
I'm the car guy.
I'm just reminding them.
But just to let you know, normally in a pit stop, you do tires, you do gas.
That is what I saw in Pixar's Cars.
Exactly.
I
you
hate
do
that
know
movie.
That. Disappointing. It's a fantastic movie.
It is not.
It is.
It is not.
Anyway, so Dom figures out that he's pretty sure Jacob sabotaged the race. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know why.
Essentially thinks he killed their dad on purpose.
Basically, not on purpose. I don't think he thinks that he did it on purpose. I think that he thinks that he sabotaged the race, and as a consequence, their dad died, but not that he was trying to kill his dad.
But isn't the point later John Cena's like, man, I never meant to kill him? later.
Well, yeah,
When
but the point of that is that, spoiler alert, Jack told him to sabotage the race, which is something else that we'll get to.
Yeah.
One way or another, he thinks that Jacob killed their dad.
Papa.
So the next scene that we see is a street racing scene. And Jacob, who up to this point is like only spoken about as
The disappointment.
yeah, kind of a failure, like Jack's untalented kid.
No reason why. We don't see why.
No, we don't
He
see
just-
him screw anything up.
He just is.
He just
Everyone
is.
just really likes Dom better.
Exactly. Maybe it's because he's taller.
It was because he's the oldest.
Maybe.
You know how parents can be.
He is the world's greatest street racer. But we don't know that
At
yet.
that point.
Not at that
he
point.
wasn't.
So he gets out of jail. He shows up at this street race where Jacob is just owning everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob gets out of the car and he's celebrating and he's like, "Who's next?"
Me. I'm next.
Dom's next. He puts his hand up. He says, "Hey, I'm next." And this is where we see like the one-time Jordana Brewster or young Jordana Brewster is in a flashback, because I confirmed this today. There is an Easter egg in that scene of the young versions of Dom's future street racing crew.
Yeah. That you made very clear to me. I didn't realize.
But that was a guess at that point. I read a Screen Rant article today that confirmed it.
Okay. But where's Mia? Where? You're really trying to tell me Mia's in there somewhere.
Mia's in there somewhere. I think behind him or somewhere else in the scene.
Oh, well, I guess I'll have to
And
watch it again.
Letty is there too. Yeah, we'll have to rewatch it because it's just the briefest glimpse.
I know.
But I was like, I'm pretty sure that was Vince and Jesse
Yeah,
and Leon.
I'm just like, huh?
Yeah, I think she blinked and she missed it.
Literally. But I did see young Letty.
Yeah, and then we see the guy who is all about family proceed to tell his brother that he knows what he did, and that if he wins this street race,
He needs to get out of Dodge.
he needs to get out of town and he never wants to see him again.
Yeah. To his little brother.
To his little brother.
Could you imagine if your brother said that to you?
Yeah.
If you thought you killed their father.
Well, and I would
Your
understand him being angry,
Yeah.
but I would probably say something like, "Hey, can we go somewhere and talk about this?
Torettos don't talk.
Could we have a conversation? Could we not settle this with a street race?"
No, that's not what Torettos do.
No. But this guy, that up until this point, he's been all about family.
Familia.
All about his crew. All about the people around him.
That he loves.
But apparently, young Dominic was not so much, because
No, I guess that
he
makes
just straight up told his brother to go away and never come back.
Yep.
Which somehow also leads his brother to being a super spy.
You know what? Did Dom ever tell Mia that he thinks Jacob killed their dad?
They don't say.
Like, did he ever? Cause Mia's like, she tried to talk with him and then they lost contact after a while. But,
Yeah,
like,
Mia,
isn't she wondering, like, hey, why'd you kick our brother out?
Mia does say that she tried to keep in contact with him, but something happened, which, assuming at this point that the something that happened is he becomes a secret agent.
Yeah.
To somehow... Here's the logical leap that I can't get behind, is that the shadow of Dom being a street racer was so great that
He had to become a super
he had to
spy.
become a super spy?
Even though the first movie stealing DVD players.
Yeah, up until this point. Like, that first movie, Dom is running a convenience store.
Oh, I thought it was a restaurant. Was it? No.
No, it's
it was a convenience store.
I
It
mean,
just
they
had
had like a little deli.
Yeah.
He's running a shop, and hey, granted, like, he's a local business owner. That's great.
Whatever happened to that?
Well, they fled.
True, but oh yeah.
But nothing that you would think that would lead him to be a super... Like, there's no shadow that is cast so great that it makes sense that he would have to leave his entire life behind and become an international super spy.
Can I mention one thing real quick?
Please do.
Okay, so by the way, there's a callback where it's like, too soon, like in the first movie.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
after that, when Jacob loses, this little actor man, you just go like, no! And the whole time I'm just like, they couldn't have done another take?
Well, here's the thing,
Couldn't
is they
have-
probably did another take and another take and another take till they got to that point.
But it wasn't good.
No, it was very over the top.
Yeah,
But
and
that's-
yet not emotional at all.
But that's the, like, I really feel like they just told the actors to be as extra as possible, and that's how it ended up.
I just wanted to point that out because it bugged me.
Yeah.
Even in the movie theater.
And you're right, there is another great callback there. There's actually multiple in this scene because not only do we see his future crew, not only do we get a callback to Too Soon, which, by the way, is something Johnny Tran says about Jesse a few hours before he kills him.
Sad.
Which is, so yeah, thanks for bringing that back up.
You brought it back up.
They brought it back up.
Oh, them. Okay.
But the other thing that we see is the first time we see Jack Toretto on screen, he's driving a Mustang, and Dom is driving a Charger. And when we flash back to the street race, Jacob's driving a Mustang, and Dom is driving a Charger. Which is one of, like, 20 in this movie. I mean, it blows my mind that, like, everywhere Dom goes, he just has a Charger waiting for him, including one that has, like...
Well, he's a superhero. He can materialize them whenever he wants.
One that has a Hellcat engine in the middle. Like, it's a mid-engine Charger. That's not just something you find, guys. So, a lot of callbacks in this scene. Mm-hmm. A lot of callbacks in the whole movie. A lot of just cashing in on nostalgia.
Just so much fan service, which I like. I personally enjoy fan service.
I guess. It feels like too much. We also find out around this time that Han is still alive. Something that they really could have made that a good, like, reveal.
Yeah.
If you think about it, they didn't have to include him in any of the trailers.
No. They
didn't have to include him in anything. They could have kept Sung Kang under wraps.
No, but everyone saw John Cena was like, I don't know. Like, but we also have Han.
Maybe that's it. Maybe they were so worried about the reaction to John Cena that they were like,
Hey,
Han.
We have Han in the movie as well.
In case you weren't going to watch it, Han's here.
It's like,
you know that guy that we killed?
Twice.
We killed and then also used him to retcon that this guy killed him as revenge. Oh, and then that guy's a good guy now?
Yeah.
But also maybe not because of the end credit scene.
Save that.
Yeah. And it's just like, well, we're just going to say that Mr. Nobody did it.
Yeah. He's behind everything.
He's behind everything. He's been there since the beginning, guys. Giselle worked for him.
Apparently. And also Han.
Well, she wasn't, stealing gas.
Mm-hmm. And I don't even remember how she got into the crew.
And saving the world. Yeah, it's been a while
since I barely remember her, honestly.
Movies. And I could probably recount the entire plot of the first movie from memory, but the other ones are a little bit more hazy. I haven't seen them as much.
Well, the second one's where we meet Rome.
Yeah. I love it. Rome is so great in this movie.
He's so great.
Yeah, so Han's not only alive, but he's been raising...
A child.
A child!
He has a daughter now.
Who's not only a child, but she is the child. She is the key
to the Ares device.
The key to ending the world?
Essentially. Because her parents are stupid and made their DNA the key.
Yeah, you made a great point about that, because they create this device that they believe is so dangerous that they have to find a way to keep it from falling in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
And the way they do that is to tie their DNA to it.
Mm-hmm. And then they had a kid. Or they already had a kid. Yeah.
Which means that when they inevitably get killed in an explosion, because they just like killing parents in explosions in this movie.
Yeah. Kind of like
the only key that is left is their daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Which means, of course, they're going to hunt her down.
Yeah.
And if all they need is her DNA, she doesn't even have to be alive.
Yeah. It's really dumb. Like, that never works in things.
It's really only a mercy that they keep her alive in the first place so that Han can go on this rescue mission.
Well, clearly they're not that evil.
And when we first see Elle...
we have no clue who she is.
Yeah, we don't know who she is.
She just shows up, and she just is like, Mia, Letty, get down.
Yeah, as they're... another good point. So they find Han in Japan because of a Mexican flag hanging in his apartment window.
And that's his Mexico.
That's his Mexico. And Mia puts together that he always said, in those westerns, they run for the border, and Japan is my Mexico.
Yeah. Right after having a really heartfelt conversation.
Yeah, which we should get to that, because it is one of the actual, like, real moments in this movie, but we'll get to it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, they have reason to believe that this apartment belongs to Han.
So they just walk in.
So they just break in.
Yeah.
And then somehow, at the exact same time, from a whole other part of the world, the bad guys also find that this is Han's apartment. Maybe they were following them. Who knows?
Maybe. They don't
That's
say.
the only thing that makes sense, but they don't say. They show up at the exact same time and start shooting. And this woman comes out of nowhere and starts just beating these guys down.
I know, I thought she was a side piece at first.
A side piece? Oh, like Han's side piece? Like a new girl?
Yes!
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, because at this point
she
she's
doesn't-
old enough.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
But also,
what
I think Han's in his, like, late 40s at this point, so that would be a little creepy. Anyway, totally getting off point. She starts just kicking butt. And then they get, knockout, drag out fight that involves Letty jumping out the window and landing on another car.
Like a pillow.
Like a pillow. Like she's perfectly fine, except for the guy that she landed on is not fine. He's down.
Well, maybe he broke her fall in this instance.
That's the only thing that makes sense.
In that instance.
They gotta stop doing this.
No, it's amazing. I want to see how.
But I'm gonna call that in the next movie. Somebody else lands on a hood and it saves them.
I should get like a meter up and like a counter.
We need to make a shirt. What would it say? Saved by the hood. No, that sounds a little no.
Yeah, no. We'll work on it.
Anyway,
cut that, please.
Maybe. So, blah blah blah. More people show up.
More people die.
Somebody takes them down with a sniper rifle, and here's Han.
Yeah. Oh, no, we're not there yet. Okay. I was just gonna mention Cardi B.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's not necessarily a huge point.
I know, but I did want to mention that Cardi B's just there in this universe.
Inexplicably, she knew to pose as an Interpol agent.
Yeah, to pretend to arrest Dom.
And
then just let him out.
And then just let him go.
And she's like, hey!
Now, I will say that the article that I read today also did make a good point that hip-hop star cameos are a big part of the Fast and Furious universe.
No, yeah, that's true. They could have incorporated her a little more gracefully.
Yeah, but apparently she's also going to be in the next movie.
I didn't know.
In a bigger role.
Oh, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, so the part that we couldn't hear in the theater that we were watching at didn't have great audio, so a lot of times when Dom was talking in his low, gravelly voice, we couldn't really understand what he was saying. And then Cardi B talks really fast and really loud, but not very clearly, so we couldn't really tell what she was saying.
Yeah.
Apparently what they were talking about was when they used to steal gas together, which is a callback to the other movie where they're stealing gas.
I don't think she was alive back then.
How old do you think Cardi B is?
I don't know. She can't be that old.
Well, the movie's also not that old.
Look, I'm almost as old as these movies.
But yeah, Cardi B's in it.
I have a weird sense of time.
And it's just this quick throwaway thing. But yeah, now we know Han's alive. We know how he's alive. We know that he's been raising a girl. So that also means that the entire time that Tokyo Drift was going on...
yeah, she's only 28. But yeah, she was alive. But still.
She would have been in her 20s.
When the movies came out?
When, like, Fast 5 came out, sure.
Were they still stealing gas?
I think that's the movie that they were stealing gas. Again, a little hazy on the details, guys. Don't get after us.
Yeah, it's been a bit. We'll get to those.
We're just pretending to be experts. We're not actually experts.
He is. Pretending to be an expert.
Yeah, and so that's just one of the many twists in this movie. Han's alive, guys, but we knew that already. Now we just know how.
He just walks in late with corn nuts.
Yeah, and maybe that was their point, was just like, well, we're going to tease that he's alive, but we're not going to tease how.
Yeah, which I guess that's fine.
Yeah, but maybe they could have done a better job with it.
It could have been so much cooler.
Oh, yeah, because what I was saying is, in Tokyo Drift, the entire time, not only is he moonlighting for the Yakuza and teaching a kid how to drift who's in high school.
Yeah.
He's also, like, raising an 11-year-old girl. Apparently. And she also, apparently, just knows advanced martial arts. And then in the rest of the movie, when Han shows up, he's sniping people like a badass. And then the rest of the movie, the guy can't throw a punch to save his life.
No.
He's just getting taken down the entire time.
It's kind of funny, actually.
It's a little sad to me because I love Han.
I know.
But they just make him out to be like a chump when it comes to the fights.
You know, he's Some people snipe, some people punch.
And then they don't even give him that much driving to do.
Oh, I didn't even think of... I know, he didn't even drift. Like,
no! The drifting scene that was in the car that they, like, featured him in the preview, that big slide, that big dramatic thing, John Cena was driving at the time.
Yeah. He's been there the whole time.
It was just... Why did they do that to him? Oh, also, speaking of Tokyo Drift, we get to see Sean.
And Twinkie.
We get to see Twinkie.
He doesn't go by Twinkie, but
and we
they
get
don't
to
give
see
us
the
another
other
name.
guy, who is now a rocket scientist. I don't know his name. I don't know if they even name him in Tokyo Drift.
I don't even remember him. I
But
thought he was just some random dude.
He's like the ECU tuner. Which apparently, if you tune ECUs in this universe, you are now qualified to do just like anything with technology.
Yeah,
because Tej became a hacker.
Yeah, naturally.
Just naturally. It was a natural progression.
You know, from wanting to open his own garage.
And this guy became a rocket scientist, which we should have seen. The one thing we did not see coming in this movie that basically telegraphed everything about itself is that these guys are rocket scientists.
So they can have access to a rocket.
They strap a rocket to a Fiero that then explodes. They're going to space, guys!
They foreshadowed it, and I didn't even realize until they started talking about it, and I was like, that's why we saw them earlier with the rocket.
We missed it completely until, like, they're talking about this satellite that has to be taken down.
It starts to click.
It has to be taken down in person. You can't take it down, like, digital.
No, that'd be too easy.
It has to be done analog. It can't be done digital.
Yeah.
But one of the best lines in this movie, because this movie is so incredibly Dom-centric, just like the last movie was, which may just be a theme after Brian's death, Paul Walker's death.
Well, yeah,
This movie is so Dom-centric. So Tej and Roman just show up and like, hey, we heard you could get us wheels. And they're like, yeah, who's asking? And they're like, Dominic Toretto sent us.
All three turn around.
And then, I can't remember who said the line.
I think it was not Twinkie and Sean.
I think it was the rocket scientist. He just looks at them and is like, who's Dominic Toretto?
And it's amazing.
It's fantastic. I think there was an audible laugh at this point.
No, that's when it's appropriate.
That was a great
That was
line.
very clearly
it was
a joke.
Fantastically, and it's just like, yeah, not everyone knows who this guy is, guys. Like, let's settle down.
By the way, there were surprisingly quite a few children in this theater. I just found that weird.
It's a family movie. I keep saying it.
You keep saying that, but
if the main theme of the movie is family, then vis-a-vis, it's a family movie.
There's literally a movie where there's a scene where a man has a rat on his stomach and it's trying to dig through him to live.
I saw that when I was a kid.
What is
now,
wrong
granted,
with you?
I couldn't watch that scene when I was a kid. It scared me when I was a kid. But I don't know. I mean, I've seen... When I was
he cut a man in half with a car!
When I was like 5 years old, when my dad took me to R-rated movies, and sure,
can't relate.
It gave me nightmares. But, you know, these movies have probably a little bit too much violence for kids, but none of it is just like...
I guess.
I think there's no blood. Do we ever see blood?
No.
I mean, Rome directly says, we don't have a scratch on us. The only people that ever get a scratch on them is Dom.
Yeah, and maybe
Brian.
Brian.
That's just to show that he's been fighting people.
Yeah.
And Brian does too.
Oh, there was blood in the first movie.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that scene I also couldn't watch.
Baby.
Whatever. Yeah, so they're going to space.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the flimsiest premise. Like, they just wanted to make it happen, so they made it happen. Which is basically, I mean, it's just kind of how this movie came together in the first place.
It's a fan fiction.
This
whole movie's a fanfic.
That's great, because we were talking about fan fiction on the way to the movie. I mean, it really does seem like they just made a list of things that they wanted to see, and they made it happen. Which is kind of cool, but, like, I don't know. It's also dumb. It feels like someone, like John Cena's someone's self-insert. Yeah. It just seems like John Cena wanted to be in the movies. Yeah. And since apparently Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson don't like each other. Yeah, the other thing that... Okay, not major downgrade. I don't want to be mean to John Cena. No, John Cena's fine. The Rock is way more charismatic on screen.
Yes.
The Rock is... There's a reason he is still a movie star after starting in, like...
And John Cena has never been a movie star.
John Cena does... I will say it's probably his best acting performance that I've seen so far.
Yeah, he has improved much since Psych.
If you are a fan of the TV series Psych, you know what we're talking about. It's almost painful to watch. Like, he's just awkward on screen.
Because he's not an actor.
Yeah, and especially then. But, you know, it's a skill. Some people can learn it. Some people it's a little harder. Yeah. It seems like he's come a long way, but I'll be honest.
He's not The Rock.
There's no reason for him to be there.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we get too negative.
We were negative?
A little bit, I guess. I don't want John Cena, if you're listening, we do like you.
We do enjoy you.
It's not your fault.
This is not personal.
It's not It's not your fault. It's just that I'm very attached to this movie series, and I think that they're slowly ruining it for money.
And I just think your contribution was very silly. But that's it.
That's it.
I'm sure you're great.
And also, don't hurt me, please.
What's he gonna do? Track us down? Because he's a super spy?
Yes.
That took you way too long.
Gosh, what else? Oh, okay, so we've been talking about them going to space.
Oh, God. I thought they would save it at least for 10.
Yeah, so here's the thing that gets me about this. There are so many scenes that just make physics leave the room and say, we're gonna do this anyway. When
the whole
opening scene, the whole opening action scene is just flying in the face of physics.
Yep.
Tej driving across a bridge that is collapsing makes no sense.
That was such...
It's a rope bridge. As soon as it's cut, it loses tension.
That was some Looney Tunes nonsense.
It really was. It's just like, we're going to drive faster than the bridge is falling.
That's
and
not how any of that worked.
No, that's not how any of it works.
Even I had to be like, no.
And then 5 minutes later... The scene that I thought would be later in the movie.
I also thought that.
Dom drives into the bridge, like, post.
Yeah.
Turns his wheel.
Grabs the rope.
Locks it in place. And swings across this canyon.
Like he's Car Tarzan.
He's Car Tarzan.
Carzan.
He's Carzan.
That could be our first shirt.
Yeah, hey, that could be. Anyway, there's just so many scenes that fly in the face of physics. There's a scene where, like, okay, we haven't even gotten to the magnets. I don't really want to spend a lot of time on the magnets, except for that really funny line where they're standing next to the magic...
Yeah, and Tej gets his necklace, his chain...
I almost said magic truck, which is more accurate, because magnets don't act this way. And the way they explain that why they act this way is just to say that they've never seen them act this way.
Where'd the magnets come from? Who invented those?
I'm guessing it's dictator money?
Sure. Why not?
But also, why does, like, this random dictator that we never even see have super advanced military weapons that even, like, the U.S. military apparently doesn't have?
Well, when you're rich and a dictator.
I guess. The necklace flying off and Rome making fun of him for spending so much money on a silver necklace that is magnetic is fantastic. And again, this scene shows why Rome is the best character in this movie, because it starts with him noticing that two guys have cauliflower ears, which means they must be fighters and not delivery men. And he confronts him about his shoes that have not been delivered, which
forgot about that.
Confuses the guys, understandably, and then he just punches him in the face.
Yeah, and Tej is just like, no.
Tej is like, no, what are you doing to these random delivery guys? But sure enough,
as
these are the bad guys.
People in their own country earlier.
Right. And it turns out there's this magic magnet truck, and that's going to be a big, like, weapon in the movie, because as they're flying through downtown London, causing millions of dollars in property damage.
Oh, so much property damage.
They're just using these magic magnets that can basically
turn on and off.
And selectively grab things.
Yeah.
Because it's not like pulling people who are wearing, like, metal objects.
Yeah.
It's not affecting them in any way. It's not, but But it is like
making phones fly out of people's hands and cars
yeah
crash into each other.
What about my belt buckle? Why is it not pulling my belt off?
I know.
Why is it not grabbing? Like
I know a lot of people have metal on them. A lot of the times.
A lot of the time, and also like there are very like clear scenes where these metal objects are just flying by people but not hitting them.
Yeah. Which, I can forgive. That's movie logic.
Yeah, but they're also pulling cars into the street.
Yeah, that's when I start to unforgive.
Yeah, because it's like you're pulling hundreds of cars into the street.
There's probably so many people in those cars.
People leave their animals in their cars.
I know.
They shouldn't. Don't do that.
I'll find you.
But they do. Yeah, we will track you down for that.
No. Me.
She will, specifically.
He'll find you, I'll do the deed.
Yeah. They're just causing millions of dollars in property damage with these magic magnet cars. And then they decide that the best way to stop this gigantic 50-foot long armored vehicle is by driving next to the front of it and activating the magnets and like sucking their car into the wheels.
I still don't really get how that works.
Which somehow causes the whole thing to flip lengthwise.
Which, by the way, looks really cool.
It looks fantastic.
It's an awesome scene.
But they don't do anything to justify it.
Oh, no.
And then, like, in the next scene, as we're talking about all these just physics-defying feats...
we go to space.
Tej has the nerve of, while they're about to launch a car into space with a rocket that we saw not that long ago explode the entire car, Rome, again being the voice of reason, says, "This is crazy, what are we doing?" Tej has the nerve to say, "Trust the numbers, and numbers don't lie."
And you just like, you can hear our eyes rolling.
I assume that line was supposed to be funny.
I mean, and it kind of was.
It kind of was, but
in the worst way possible.
There was a part of me that was really mad.
And yeah, it's like, okay, now you're just messing with this.
Because if you're gonna just pretend physics don't matter in this universe, don't throw math in our face.
Yeah. We're not here for math.
That being said,
we're here for vroom vroom real fast.
The scene where they go into space is hilarious.
Oh yeah, it's pretty funny.
There's NOS on this rocket for some reason.
Yeah, the car did not explode going into space.
The car did not explode going into space.
Even though it's just the car with the rocket strapped
It's just a Pontiac Fiero, which is a car that is already known for catching on fire, somehow making it through the Earth's atmosphere.
Somehow.
And going into orbit.
Oh, and they have these old World War space suits on or something.
Yeah, that they're patching up with duct tape. And it's just... I don't know if I should be amazed or upset. I'm really at a loss.
I feel like it's fine to be both.
This movie confuses me on so many levels because I love the action scenes are so well done.
They're so good.
You cannot be mad at the action scenes, but also the plot is so bad. To make that point, in that big rescue scene that's supposed to be about them rescuing Elle from these people... Mm-hmm. Jacob, who has been nothing but a terrorist this entire time, who has, without remorse, just decided that he's going to deliver this device that could end the world into the hands of a dictator's son.
Just to get back at Dom.
Just to get back at Dom.
You know, brothers, they hold grudges.
This man who is objectively terrible, people. Mm-hmm. He's a bad guy.
He has a My Little Pony transformation and is redeemed.
Yeah, and the way that they justify it is that the other bad guys...
are worse.
And betray this bad guy.
They betrayed the John Cena.
Now, keep in mind, they're executing this plot.
Quotation
and
mark.
What we find out is that because of a previous conversation with Cypher, where she calls Otto...
Yoda.
Implying that he's a puppet with someone's hand up his ass.
Which was also funny. He also said, "I'm Luke freaking Skywalker."
I'm Luke freaking Skywalker. He has convinced, or she has convinced him that she needs to betray Jacob and basically set her free.
This is all off screen, by the way.
This is all off screen. Yeah, they're not going to take the time.
Why would they show us that?
It's a 2-hour and 25-minute movie.
They couldn't have cut out any of those flashbacks or anything.
They're just going to do all this stuff off screen so we don't have to worry about it. Just trust us.
And technically, it's explained.
So, she convinces him that for some reason to do this, she also has to betray Jacob. Mm. So, after Jacob helps him deliver this plan, the guy with the nice teeth, because of Otto's fantastic dental plan.
If you work for him.
If you work for him.
Which, hit me up.
Turns on him and tries to take Jacob out. Mm-hmm. Now, in any other circumstance, this is fine. This is a bad guy getting turned on by other bad guys.
Yeah, of course. Of course that would happen.
But because it's Dom's brother and Mia's brother, this slight change means that he is suddenly redeemed, and he is a good guy now, and he's going to stop Otto, and he's going to help our favorite street racing crew.
Yeah, and then they all give each other a look in the eyes, like Mia stares at him.
This is another super long close-up shot.
They're so awkward. Just
it's
stop.
Dom,
just stop
a
few
Mia,
seconds.
Then it's Jacob. Then it's Mia. Then it's Jacob. Then it's Dom.
They're all smiling.
They're all making these super intense,
stupid faces.
Yeah. So they save Jacob, and he's without word just helping them now.
They save him by having him land on a hood. By the way.
You're right, aren't you? You're right.
Dom saves him by driving under him because he notices that somehow he realizes he's being betrayed, and is like, I guess I'll go save him now.
But at the end of the day, they do it. They save the world.
By the way, the DNA, all they needed was thumbprints.
Yeah, they don't even take a sample of her DNA. She just touches this device and it turns on.
Yeah.
She could have done it by accident.
Mm-hmm.
That's how easy it is.
Well, maybe that's why they were separated.
And again, it's just a mercy that they didn't kill her, because they could have just apparently.
Yeah, they really did not have to keep her alive.
No, but she's got plot armor, so there you go. Yeah. So at the end of the day, they save the world again, and in another unnecessary callback, Dom hands Jacob the keys to a 10-second car because years ago,
someone gave him a 10-second car.
Another person gave him another chance and gave him a 10-second car.
Yeah, but all Dom did was rob trucks of DVD players.
All Dom did,
which is still bad.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely put the truck drivers' lives in danger, but nobody died. Jesse died, but that wasn't because of the operation. That's because Johnny Tran.
Yeah.
Decided that a car was worth somebody's life. And then he gets shot for it. Basically, our point is Dom stole some DVD players.
John Cena was a mass terrorist.
John Cena was a terrorist. And they are not the same thing, guys.
They're not.
They are not the same thing. You don't just get to go...
I mean, it's a sweet callback, I guess, but
Because if he was anybody but Dom's brother...
this would have been fine. Or
lock him up. That's what they did to Deckard Shaw.
I know. And he helped save the baby.
That's what they did to Deckard Shaw's brother.
Well, he's redeemed now, too.
Yeah, but at least he did something.
True, he did save the... Oh, God, I love that scene.
Yeah. That's a great scene. We'll
amazing.
talk about it in that movie.
I can't wait.
Fast 8. It'll be a while till we get to it. But, yeah. It's just another callback, another cash-in. It's again a moment where if you think about it, it doesn't make sense. So it is really best to watch this movie with your brain shut off. Except for the part that enjoys action scenes.
Yeah, no, I was good. I was good most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's about it. Now there's just a barbecue to get to, because what's a Fast and Furious movie without a barbecue?
And a couple Coronas.
Mm-hmm. Because they got to get the product placement in.
Yeah. Everyone's fine.
You think they'd give Vin Diesel free Corona in real life?
Maybe.
There's got to be some sort of deal. But this one question that they don't answer, by the way, and I brought this up earlier, but we decided to save it. So they have Ares now. They have this world-ending doomsday device.
Yeah, they just have it.
They don't really say what they do with it.
It's probably in the back of one of their closets or something.
Right? It's just in the junk drawer.
Along with the giant safe of money they stole that one time.
Yeah.
That's where they keep it, actually.
Yeah, exactly. They don't explain, at least in another part of the movie, we know that Mr. Nobody must have found the other half, and then the half that we don't see at that point is locked in a secure location, and that's why they have to get Cypher to hack in and find its location. It's an event to get this thing, and once they get it, they don't really explain what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, they just kind of have it.
They just skip to a barbecue.
It's in the toy box.
It's
in little Brian's toy box.
We just assume that we're all good.
Speaking of Brian, doesn't he like technically make a kick because he drives in at the very end?
Yeah. So
Even though we don't see him.
we don't see him. Well, of course not.
I know.
Although, if
I'm
you
just
read
saying.
the IMDb page, they do credit Paul Walker as being in this movie.
That's illegal.
It does seem weird.
That just feels hurtful somehow.
I wonder if they do that so that like his daughter can get a cut of it or something.
Man, before I knew what Fast and Furious was, I just remember everyone in my school just talking about his death, and I'm like, who?
Yeah, it was a big event.
I know. I didn't realize that many high schoolers watched. No, that makes sense.
We're running low on time though, so we'll get to that at a different
But there's
time.
jokes I want to talk about.
Well, yeah. So that's what we're gonna kind of finish up talking about this movie. So before we get to the end, what else have we missed?
Ramsey can't drive, and it was calling me out personally.
Ramsey can't drive, and I took some time to just kind of stare at you in the theater to make you feel uncomfortable because we kind of referenced it in the intro episode, but my dear friend Randy is terrified of driving.
Yeah. Again, isn't it funny that I like these movies?
Yeah, loves these movies where these guys do these crazy stunts. Doesn't want to do any of them herself.
No, I just live vicariously through the movies.
Yeah, maybe you'll have an Uber driver who is the world's greatest street racer, and that'll
God,
be.
I hope not. I'll die.
That'll be your tie-in to a
I'll either
world.
die or get amnesia.
Fast and Furious. One of the two. But if you die, you'll probably just come back.
But what if I don't want to?
Then you can stay.
Well, yeah, Giselle stayed dead.
That's true.
She's like the only one that got to stay dead.
Well, and they did kind of kill her off to not have to explain why she wasn't in Tokyo
I
Drift.
know, but Sean and Han met up again, and I thought he was gonna be mad. He was not.
But they do explain. I think that was a good point. That like, I could see the reasoning behind Sean being upset instead of happy to see Han still alive.
Because he was his like mentor essentially.
He was
in
a
Tokyo
big.
Drift.
He was the guy that put Sean on like
track.
the straight. Well,
To be
I
a
say
rocket-
straight and narrow, but I mean
He's a rocket scientist now.
He's a sketchy looking rocket scientist. Anything else?
I didn't even expect Twinkie to be in it. There's more. There's more. We talked about Cardi B.
Talking about Cardi B. I think I crossed off everything on my list.
The cool fight scene where Dom almost drowns.
Oh, yeah. I guess we should give a few minutes to that. So, as they're trying to escape this secret base, Dom takes down like 10 guys before being overwhelmed.
He banes them.
He literally breaks a guy's back on a railing.
I was literally
brutal.
like...
Yeah, it's almost like we crossed over from Fast and Furious to into Triple X. Like, it was insane.
Yeah, like there's some Captain America super serum happening in someone.
Seriously, there has to be something going on.
The guy who got his head into the billboard and he's just fine.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Okay. Well, again, physics don't matter unless they suddenly matter.
I know, but I thought they were going to be like, oh, are they trying to make a new super soldier serum or something?
Right? Like, maybe that's the plot of the next movie.
Maybe
we find out that this entire time the reason that they've been able to do these insane stunts
because
is
they are special.
They've been getting drugged this whole time.
Yeah.
And that's why Mr. Nobody reaches out to them instead of, I don't know,
anyone
a legitimate
else.
organization.
Literally anyone else.
Okay, so he literally, like, collapses this tunnel by
just
pulling
yoinks.
on a couple chains. He just does that Vin Diesel grunt and pulls down.
Yeah, and Letty's like, no.
And falls into some conveniently placed water. It doesn't get hit on the head with any falling concrete.
Yeah, or
flashes back to
his life, essentially.
Yeah, so we do find out that Jacob did sabotage the race, but he was told to by their father because he was in so much debt that he had to throw the race. Which, the other point I made about that is if he wanted to throw the race, he didn't need to sabotage his car.
No.
He could have just drove a little bit slower and not won.
Maybe that's easier said than done, but I don't know.
It's like the difference between going full throttle and part throttle. Like, you don't have to... It's not an on-off switch. You can,
maybe
you can slow down.
Maybe he's got a heavy foot.
Or maybe his integrity wouldn't allow him to, but then his
Maybe
integrity allowed him to sabotage his car.
And then ask his youngest son to do it.
Yeah, and not not tell his older son.
Ever.
And realistically, if he hadn't sabotaged his car, he could have avoided this maneuver and lived.
Yeah.
Which is another reason I'm upset that they did this, because instead of just leaving it alone, not everything needs to be explained. They could have just left this alone instead of cashing in on this deep emotional moment to introduce a character that doesn't need to exist.
Yeah.
But anyway, we do find out that Jacob did sabotage the car. We do find out that his dad told him to do it. And that the reason Dom kicked him out of town was for something that he didn't fully understand.
Yeah. He was like judge, jury, and executioner, and he didn't even get a trial.
Yeah, so...
Jacob. I guess the car street race was his trial.
I guess.
But that's not much of a trial.
So, as he's falling into this water and his life is flashing before his eyes, he flashes back to these moments, and all of a sudden he's remembering his dad being on the phone and talking about money and
closing the door so he won't hear.
Closing the door, and
it's so cheesy.
It's basically just his life flashing before his eyes before we see a scene of Letty diving into the water
to swim. Like, I assume also from that height.
Definitely. It has to be.
Yeah, and she also got him out somehow.
Yeah.
Even though he's big old Vin Diesel.
It's another moment where
and she looks like
the power of love
saves
their lives.
Surrounded by light, and she's reaching down as she's swimming to save him.
We should also talk about Letty and her sort of real talk in this movie.
Oh yeah, good. I almost forgot about that.
I almost forgot too. I'm glad we're recapping. She does make a good point. And you also pointed that out. That as Mia and her are talking, Letty brings up the very valid point that just as she's getting her memory back, just as she's starting to enjoy her life again, she has a baby thrust upon her. And it's not even hers.
It's not even hers.
And of course she's going to be there and take care of this baby.
What's she going to do? Say no?
But...
like, no, I'm not raising that baby.
Just as she gets her memory back, she has to be a mom now.
She has to settle down.
And that's not the life that she really signed up for. That's like... she feels comfortable in the action.
Yeah.
And learning to be a mom...
it's hard for her.
It's hard. And so, of course, when this thing pops up that puts people in danger and they need to save the day again, and Dom says no, she says yes. And quite frankly, in this movie, that's really just plot to make action happen.
Yeah.
It's a very nice moment of real emotion.
We never mentioned it again.
No, I mean, it doesn't really come up again, but at least it came up.
Yeah, at all. And it's just a very nice scene between Letty and Mia.
Yeah. So, and again, you know, she dives into the water and love saves the day.
I don't know how she lifted him out of there. He's huge.
He is huge. And there was, again, cement, like,
he is
falling
nothing
from
but
the ceiling.
mass.
They also don't really explain how they got out of there. Again, it happened off screen, so it happened.
Yeah. I think this is the last thing I want to talk about. The flashback where Dom almost murders a man. I thought...
yeah.
I thought...
we had this thought simultaneously.
That... so, the guy who murdered their father, essentially, he's looking at the car to what? Pay his respects?
He says it's to pay his respects.
But he's just a jerk.
And he tells the guy whose dad just died, like, Jacob walks up to the scene, and this guy basically tells Jacob to buzz off.
Yeah.
Which is pretty rude to the guy whose dad you just killed. And then he also has the nerve to say that he didn't kill his dad. Racing killed his dad.
I know. And then he's like insulting him, being like, you're not Dom.
Telling him that he's the basically the runt and he's the failure.
So he grabs a wrench.
Understandably, Jacob grabs a wrench.
And it looks like he's going to beat his head in.
And is about to go for him. And we both think
we thought
that Jacob is actually the one that beat this guy.
But Dom took the blame for it.
Dom took the fault.
Because he's a good big brother.
Which, by the way,
would have made a lot more sense.
Would have been a better plot.
Hire us.
That's fantastic. That's like... oh my goodness.
Of course he wouldn't talk about that. That,
honestly, would have redeemed most of that entire flashback for me.
We thought
and made it not feel like a cash-in. Made it feel like now we're learning something more about the character.
That would have been the smart thing to do.
It would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
But they don't do that.
No, it was still Dom.
Dom tells Jacob to calm down and then almost immediately takes the same wrench to this guy's head.
Yeah, I know. I really thought they were gonna like, oh, that's a smart twist, actually, kind of. Well, not like smart, but you know, better than what's happening.
Yeah. So
look, that's a disappointment.
That's a disappointment. It would have been great, but it didn't happen. But hey, can't call everything, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's about it. I think that's everything that we really need to do.
The end credit scene.
Yeah. So let's finish the barbecue.
Oh yes.
And then we'll get to the end credit scene.
Back to our Coronas.
Yeah. So we're drinking Coronas. Sean and Han.
They reunite. They hug.
Sean and Han. You just got that.
Shahan.
They reunite. They're happy to see each other again.
I'm like, why are you not pissed?
It's a beautiful moment. They sit down. They tell little Brian that he has to do the prayer.
Yeah.
Which part of me was waiting for him to do the exact same prayer that that Jesse did in the first movie, and I was going to just like explode if they did that, because no.
They're just like, just come whatever comes to your heart.
But as they sit down, little Brian is about to say grace, and Dom says, "Wait a minute."
Cute kid, by the way.
There's an empty space at the table. And Mia says, "He's almost here."
And then he pulls up into the driveway.
Yeah, and then we hear the sound of an RB26 revving, and we see a blue R34 Skyline pulling up, and right before Brian gets out of the car, they cut away.
Yeah.
But hey, we know that Brian's alive. We know that he's doing well, and
technically,
that he's coming to the barbecue.
Yeah, he's coming to have a Corona as well. Okay, come on, let's go to the end credit
All right.
scene.
Yeah, and that's good because we're way over time. The end credit scene is fantastic. You got Jason Statham beating the crap out of a punching bag that turns out to have a person in it that he's interrogating.
It's kind of really intense.
It's pretty dark.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
For these movies.
And apparently he's interrogating him about something
You know
that he already has. Why?
Because there's blood on this guy. We're not used to seeing blood on people.
Well, also, like, he's trapped a guy in a punching bag and he's just beating the hell out of it.
I know, it's terrifying.
Yeah, like, at first we're like, oh, he's just exercising.
Yeah.
He opens it up and this guy's, like, almost crying.
Yeah.
And he's covered in blood.
Bloodied. I think he's missing some teeth.
And whatever he's interrogating the guy about, he already has in his hands.
So now he's just being a jerk.
He's just teasing the guy at this point.
Which, that makes sense for him, I guess.
Then we hear a knock at the door.
Who could that be?
No, it's not a pizza, because...
Why?
I mean,
that'd be dumb.
Yeah, Jason Statham's probably low carb anyway.
Okay.
So he goes to answer it, and at this point, I'm expecting it to be Hobbs.
And I have no clue.
I'm thinking, oh, hell yeah, they're setting up Hobbs and Shaw 2. Why not? It was a good movie. Make another one. At least in that movie, it makes sense that all this crazy stuff is happening.
Because they are both international.
Yeah, they are both actual international spies. But we don't see Hobbs at the door.
Nope.
He opens the door, and it's just this quick flash of Han.
I know. And even he is surprised.
And even
Shaw is surprised.
Well, I don't think Shaw at this point knows that Han is still alive.
Good point.
Because they used his death as cover.
I keep forgetting about that,
But not only is it Han looks like he's ready to kill.
It's terrifying.
Which, I'm not sure how that's going to go, because as we discussed, Han can't fight, apparently.
But he can snipe.
He can shoot, yeah, we do know that.
Plus, his little daughter can probably fight for him.
Yeah, maybe he's got Elb right behind him.
She's like, hey, Shaw.
Hey, Shaw, I'm going to kill you now. And then it just cuts away.
I know, and our jaws are just like...
Yeah, I mean, and quite frankly, the only reason we stayed behind to watch this is because we didn't get our check back yet. The theater that we went to
serves food, and
we were waiting to get our check back, and we were like, well, it's the Fast and Furious. There's not going to be an end credit scene. Although I guess there has been before, so we should have expected it.
Yeah, but it's not like it's a Marvel thing where it's expected.
No, but I'm glad we stayed because
I am too.
As far as end credit scenes go, it was actually really good, and it does get me excited about what's going to happen next.
I know. I'm like, well, now we have to come back.
Which, no pressure, Universal, but make it good. Make it make sense.
What he said.
Maybe that'll be the title of the episode. Make it make sense.
The Saga.
The Saga. All right. I think that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's F9, the Fast Saga.
Mm-hmm.
All in all, I know I probably said a lot of negative things about this movie, but
I said positive things about it.
there were some redeeming qualities, and I did enjoy myself.
And he didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it. I was concerned going in that I was going to hate it, and I can probably say I didn't hate it.
Yeah, but no, I was with him. He did not fully hate it.
I will say, I mean...
did rub his head a lot.
There were a number of moments. But it's only because, like I said, I'm very invested in this series.
It's like his safety blanket.
Yeah, I mean, I could watch the first movie anytime. And I often watch it when I'm feeling stressed.
Aw, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like my go-to movie.
It's your comfort movie.
Yeah. And I do really feel like they could have just changed all the names and this movie still would have worked and probably would have worked better. Uh-huh. Like, it's a great action movie. It's hilarious and it's fun and the action scenes are exciting and it really draws you in.
It's so good.
It's just that we already have an established universe that they are just pulling things from as they want. And it doesn't always make sense. So Universal, make it make sense.
Yeah, stop doing whatever Disney's doing with Star Wars.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. We don't need all these side stories and everything.
Yeah, I don't care about Kylo
Just
Ren.
get back to the street racing. Just keep it simple.
Yeah, end it with one last really good street race.
Yeah.
And then with the stupid song, you know, when I see you again.
No, we don't need that again. That was a good moment. Okay, well that's it. I think we're wrapping up now.
They're already rubbing off on me.
It's getting late anyway.
I'm almost out of lemonade.
Should we still haven't really worked on that outro, have we?
I don't think we really need one right now.
No, I don't think so. We'll work on that. We'll figure it out. But for now, hit us up on social media. I'm at Cameras and Combustion on Instagram. That's Cameras and Combustion with a period between each word because it's easier to read. And I am Cameras and Combustion on YouTube as well.
Yeah, this will mainly be on his YouTube. I don't have a YouTube. So my socials are on Instagram. I am punching Skittles with underscores underneath, and on TikTok I am punching Vittles. I mainly just do art. That's my thing. Check it out if you want.
Yeah.
I do not draw cars.
She does not draw cars.
Do not ask.
Do not ask. I take pictures of cars, and you can ask. But unless you're living in Salem, it's a bit of a stretch. All right, I think that's everything. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
Hope you enjoyed the movie.
Hope you enjoyed the movie, and we'll catch you next time.